All right, guys, thanks for coming back. We're here at Shattered Darkness, episode 40-something. Today we have a friend of mine that I just recently met at an award dinner. She honestly ran up to me after the award dinner, was like, hey, super interested in what you're doing. And we just got really connected very quickly. And so today we have Rina Bindi. How are you doing?
I'm chilling.
Good.
Just happy to be here. Happy to be connected with you guys. And
we're super grateful that you're here. As always, we got co-host Aaron Nelson. How you doing, brother?
Always good, man. Good. Always good.
So we're just going to get into it. We'll start with Rina's story and just a little bit of her background and kind of what led into addiction, those kinds of things, and just let the conversation go from there. So, Rina, you get to take it over, man. Where are you from?
Originally, San Jose, California, where boys like to do finite math in their spare time because it's fun.
I actually lived very close. I used to work with a guy in California that was from San Jose.
Yeah, San Jose Bay Area, lived in the West Coast, Almaden Valley, also lived in San Diego for a brief while, Texas, Arizona, Hawaii, kind of traveled all over. I like adventure.
Yeah, I can tell. Did you ever get into surfing?
I did it once I did it once, went out 3 times with my husband while we were in Hawaii. I think the 3rd time I forced myself to go out because we had a private instructor, but my arms were like ready to fall off. And I looked over at my husband and I was like, never again.
It's seriously so hard. On my bucket list forever was to ride a barrel. And my buddy's like, dude, that'll take you your entire...
Did you say to ride a barrel?
Yeah, to ride a barrel wave.
Oh, like, when you surf.
Yeah, to ride through a barrel, yeah. I was like, wait, not like a real barrel. Yeah, it's a surf term. When the wave barrels over. That was on my bucket list forever. And my buddy's like, dude, that will take you a lifetime.
Yeah.
It is not easy. So anyways,
man.
I'm just curious if you got into that. But
no, I'm a scuba diver, love to swim. Surfing's not one of my things, though. Yeah. It's just not.
Plus, there's sharks out there and stuff.
Let's not get into a conversation about sharks.
I'm just kidding.
Talk about
all right, we'll keep it on sobriety.
Oh yeah, it's I don't really know where to start with anything.
So you're born in San Jose. Like, tell me about your family. You have brothers, sisters, parents.
Yeah, I have 2 parents, mom, dad. My younger sister, Jules. We grew up together. Middle class family. I feel like I was very privileged growing up because my mom had a stable job in HR. She was very work-focused, work-oriented, and she cared, and she was very emotionally intelligent. She still has a very high level of emotional intelligence, and she would always...
How would you define emotional intelligence?
Opposite of intellect. Like, there's intellect and emotional intellect, and... being intelligent on something, let's talk about this first. Being intelligent on a subject is studying it, analyzing it, having a deep understanding of a subject. Like we talked about surfing. I don't know anything about surfing. Right. Use the terminology barrel. I didn't know what that meant. I was thinking of like a barrel, right?
Yeah, like you're an idiot.
But that's it, but it's not. It's just me not being educated, right? And that's intellect.
Right.
And then we have emotional intelligence, and emotional intelligence is empathy, understanding, looking at ourselves, working on ourselves, seeing how we can step into a situation to magnify our way of being and influence and support in a community as a whole.
That's literally the best definition I've ever heard of that. That's awesome.
Thanks. It's what my experience is at this point in life. And my level of emotional intelligence was stunted. Like, I remember not being interested in the same things that other children were interested in, or not noticing or caring about the same types of things that other children were interested in. I very much kept to myself. I liked to be outgoing and fun and have a good time and be silly, and yet I was very shy.
That's what I was going to ask you.
And introverted.
Yeah.
Naturally introverted. And my dad, Mike, amazing man. He did marketing, and he is an alcoholic.
He still to this day?
Well, he passed with 10 years sober. And
Sorry to hear that.
hey, all of our dads get to die eventually. It's part
I'm
of
glad
life.
that he was sober though at the end. That's awesome.
Well, when I got to the point, because I was so wild, no one thought I was going to make it to the age of 18. I was surprised that I lived to be 18 years old.
So let's rewind that a little bit. So shy kid, introverted.
Mm-hmm.
What led you into like? Take me through that transition, right? Because
This is it, Mitch. This is it right here. So my dad, when I was in my 20s and he heard that I stopped drinking and doing drugs, he called me up in Hawaii, and I'll always remember this phone call. He's like, "Did you really stop drinking?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Not even a drop." And I'm like, "No, not even a drop, Daddy." And he's like, "Huh." And from that day onward, he stopped drinking as well. He never went to recovery. He never went to meetings or anything. But I was such a bad influence, and I was so wild, and everything that I did with the drugs, the dealing, everything that I had been doing, like he was shocked that I had quit. And he's like, if she can stop, so can I.
did they know about all the stuff that you're into?
Oh, Mitch, my dad and I used to get high. We would drink. My dad's an alcoholic,
So
man.
he enabled a lot of it.
He taught me how to network. He taught me how to go to the bar. We go to the bars together. I remember sitting down as like around the age of 10, and we went into the California Cafe in Almaden Valley, and it's either a Rob Roy or Roy Rogers. One of them's alcoholic, one of them's Coke with grenadine. They accidentally served the one with the alcohol in it to me, not like to me.
How old were you? Sorry.
I was about 10.
Yeah.
And my dad's like, oh, and I drank it with him. Okay. Like he grew up.
Jesus.
He grew up in a family.
You know what though?
with alcohol.
I can understand that mentality because I actually do remember giving my kids alcohol, like sips of my beer when they were like toddlers, dude. Like I'm talking 3 years old.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like in my drunk brain, I'm like, it's fine, whatever. Like, I don't want them to not know about it, you know, but now I look back on it, I'm like, you
didn't know, Mitch. That's the thing. You didn't know and you didn't understand. And my dad, we'd have that Thanksgiving dinner. I do not know how old I was. We'd have all the family members there. I said, Daddy, what are you drinking? Mm-hmm. And it would be wine. Yeah. We love wine in our family. My uncle had a little vineyard that he eventually had his own grapes, made his own wine, bottled his own wine. Like, and it was in Salinas. It was just a couple of acres, but it's things like that. We had that type of stuff and hobbies and passions that we'd follow through on. And it's, if everybody around you is doing something, how are you supposed to know any better that nobody else is like that?
Well, and you're conditioned, right? Like it's conditioning. And I'm not blaming, like we're not blaming your dad, right? Like he obviously had the same kind of issues, like in his brain too. This is working, right? Like this is good.
Yeah, he loved his life. Yeah.
See, and that's awesome. Like it's weird to me to hear a story like this. You know, because it's like the family is solid, you know, your parents are great. Your relationship with your sister, how was that? Pretty good? Is she opposite of you or is she similar to you?
No, man. I'm a daddy's girl. She was a mommy's girl. And mind you, my mom's a workaholic. Totally. Love her. She was corporate in Kaiser Hospital with HR, so she was never home. She was unaware of a lot of these things that were happening with my dad and myself and the type of abuse, the emotional abuse that we were getting. Because when he'd drink, he'd get like mean. Yeah. And he would, my mom told me, and I didn't even really notice, but she told me that he'd get upset at me and my sister for things that didn't matter. Like things that, like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Why would you get upset over something like that? Right? And I didn't know that it was emotional abuse. I didn't know like that I was being manipulated by an alcoholic. I didn't understand all of that. All I know is that I'm daddy's girl. When I smile and he's angry and he's drunk, if I'm smiling, he might not hit me. Like, and by hit, I mean spank. I'm not talking like belt beating or getting whipped or anything like that. I was just like, I just know if I smile, I crack jokes. And and play to my daddy's sympathies, I probably won't get spanked as hard.
It's crazy.
I learned that at a young age. Now, Mitch, you asked me about my sister. My sister, her personality is opposite.
That's what I was wondering.
She is sensitive. She's very emotionally sensitive. And when she would get in trouble or do something wrong, my dad would spank her and spank her. And I built up a resentment towards her because if she's in the other room crying and crying for hours because she's so emotionally hurt, my dad's going to go in there and spank her again. Now, I remember this. I would get to yell, scream, and like fake cry to get my dad to come back into my room
And leave her alone.
so he would stop hitting her.
Jesus, man. That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's brings some tears to me to think about it.
You know what? Me too. Like that tore at my heart right there. Like it's hard too, right? Like that generation, I just don't think they knew, it's like they were just getting direction from wherever and just running with it, and not really doing any research it was like I just remember not really having much of a voice as a child,
Yeah. My dad get beat with a steel brush, like wire brush. His dad immigrated from Italy when he was 3 years old. My great grandmother was from an orphanage, and they did the best they could when they moved over here. And there was a lot of alcoholism, a lot of violence. My grandfather, a womanizer, 100% of the way. And my dad knew who he didn't want to become, but he also didn't know the difference between like
you get
when to stop drinking and when to keep going. And I don't know. His emotional intelligence wasn't there, Mitch, and I'm okay with that.
It's crazy. I look at you now too, and I feel like you've got a really good mix of both of your parents. Like you definitely have the energy, the outgoingness, like fun, but you're also a very hard driving businesswoman, and so it's cool to see that mesh. But so take us kind of through like a little bit into the addiction. Like obviously it started, dad was enabling things like, how long did that last in your life?
I drank for many years. I drank until I was in my 20s. Started doing heavy drugs when I was 16. I was smoking pot younger than that already, and cigarettes before that as well. Hid most of it from my parents. Got expelled in 10th grade for showing up to school wasted. Yeah.
Guilty.
Yeah, plenty of times. And my addiction, like, there were other things that it stemmed from. I don't feel that it was necessarily my family life that the drugs and alcohol stemmed from. So I just want to clarify that the fact that my dad is an alcoholic as well, we had a functional life by my standards. Yeah. And it was, like I said, good. And he was very involved, and I was athletic, and I was into sports, and I very competitive, loved to compete, loved to swim. So there was balance in our life with that as well. When I was 6 years old, my next door neighbor, a 16-year-old boy, babysat us and me. And my sister, the following morning, ended up telling my parents, because shy, introverted, didn't want to talk about it. And I think that is what actually is where a lot of the trauma stemmed from. Okay. My dad drinking more because he was emasculated, not able to support and protect his baby girl because his wife and him went out for a night at the opera. My mom actually was emasculated too. This business corporate woman who's very influential and powerful also could not protect her only daughter. Or not only daughter, sorry, but her eldest daughter. And that level of trust and betrayal was broken. The police got involved. I told them what had happened. And because he was 16, his court case was sealed and expunged. And yes, this man did go on to multiple other women as an adult. and left the country for a while. And I don't know where he's at now. I don't really care.
That's up, man.
Right. And he would hide behind his bipolar disorder for that. So I've come to terms with that. I talk about what happened to myself openly.
Sounds like you did from the very beginning.
Only my sister pushed me to do it. I would have never said anything about it, but my sister had pushed me to talk about it because she was so angry and upset. Her story stems a lot around what happened with me at that point in her life as well, because she was even though I was the one who was by him, she acted like she was the one who was because she was there and walked in when it happened. So it was like she was actually the one who was, she held that with her throughout the years. And it wasn't until she's an adult, like in her late 30s, that she was finally able to come to terms with that and get the help that she needed for that. So I went to therapy. I got help.
You're 6 years old, dude. Like, that's crazy.
Right?
You know, I mean, and you're starting that like mental work at such a young age. Like, that's wild.
That was one of the things that triggered me into alcoholism and drug use, because I'd blocked it out for years. And then when I was in middle school, I started getting flashbacks and memories of what had happened. And then I asked my parents, like, did this happen? And it kind of like re-triggered that whole thing again because I had completely forgot about it. I liked to have that sense of control when I was using. I liked that when I drank, I could say anything too. I would talk when I was drinking, but I wouldn't talk a lot while I was sober. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Can I ask you a question on that real quick?
Yeah.
So knowing what you know now, I feel like there's a lot of that. It happened. It gets blocked out for years. And then all of a sudden we bring it back. It's very, very common. If this was to happen to your children, hopefully pray to God it never would.
Yeah, right? I think
how
about
would
that
you address that for her or whoever to make it easier than what you went through?
It's a good question. But
that depends on an individual's ability to cope, their level of emotional intelligence, the support that they have around them, and what they see. So heaven forbid that something ever happened to my little 4-year-old. I would need to be there and get to be there for her in the way that she needs the support to process and talk about what happened. I'd need to get therapy too on that because, my husband would lose it, man.
I don't know if that would destroy me as a father.
Right?
Yeah.
There are different types of therapy, like individual therapy, group therapy, and that they have. And I would strongly suggest that therapy is involved with a professional who has specific experience in that area. I know that I was able to process through it a lot. My sister should have gone to therapy. It was the big thing. But, Aaron, that's
a hard question.
That's really hard because everyone's different with how they process things. And we have different personalities as well. And it depends on who it was, how it happened. There are too many nuances to really give a good answer to that.
So it's not necessarily the needing details. It goes from people listening.
So this is
the worst thing that could happen is just to drink it away and not talk about it as parents and then kids. Like, yeah, it happens. It sucks. The cops are there, and then you don't want to disrupt. It feels like you didn't want to. They didn't want to disrupt you by bringing it up again. But at the same time, that's what us as addicts do. We cope with alcohol or drugs or whatever because we don't want to address it. I know it's hard when you're a kid, but could that have saved you?
Oh, no, it wouldn't have saved me from that. I got bullied in 5th grade so bad. The bullying part is actually what led me to drink at school. There were layers of things that happened. So many layers. And we're like, for the sake of this conversation.
Well, and I was going to say, we don't have to go through all of it. I think the biggest thing that we're trying to tie this to, like, there's a massive amount of trauma in your background.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's where we're really starting to find a trend through this podcast, and it's trauma, right? That's why we spend a little bit of time on your background, because we want to highlight kind of the shit that was in the closet, you know, the stuff back in the day that nobody really talked about or looked at. You know, that's the stuff. That's where I feel like the growth can happen. The one thing that you said about the situation, if there were to happen with your daughter, that I don't think that we got in our generation as children, was you would go into it the way that she needs, not the way that you need, right? Like I feel, and I'm not blaming and pointing fingers or anything, but like, it just is what it is. You know, like I remember I broke my leg one time and my dad's like, no, you didn't. And it was an inconvenience for him to take me to the hospital.
Bro, that's so funny you say that, because I broke my leg too, and my mom got so
exactly. And I'm like, what the dude? Like, if my kid broke his leg, even if he told me he thought he broke his leg, I would take him to the hospital.
Right?
I would drop everything I'm doing and take him to the hospital. And my dad, so I walked around on a broken leg for like 3 days.
Oh my gosh.
And finally I was like, Dad, my leg seriously hurts so bad. Like, and it's like, well, they just never listened, right? It wasn't about what we needed. It wasn't about our hearts, our soul. It was about them, you know, and again, I know this sounds super bad. I just don't think they had the training, or they didn't go through the that we had to go through as a generation, trauma wise. And that's why
I think their trauma was worse.
Oh, I think it was too. And then they stuffed it.
Yep.
For their whole life, dude. Like,
I guess that's where I'm going at, is how would you not let her stuff it?
Right.
To answer. But we don't have to go back into it.
Yeah.
I guess just a better way to ask the question.
Yeah, it's therapy, talking about it.
I love your answer too,
through
because that's like, it does depend on the person's willingness to receive.
Yep.
You know, and whenever we're sitting with new addicts that are trying to get into recovery, it's like, dude, you will get out of this what you put into it. You know, and it's totally personal, right? Like, yeah. So,
but if you've spent the year stuffing it, that's what we're trying to do, is shorten the gap of when someone needs help to when they actually get it.
And I think it's just, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. It's just, I mean, we've already circled around it enough.
There's, you know, I think high school, middle school, high school, elementary school in itself is like a trauma. Okay. Like I went in there, I got bullied. I was picked on. I was in 5th grade when my grandma died. I was attacked. I had just real quick to touch on this. My best friend had a sleepover. First time I had a girlfriend spend the night since that other incident had happened. First girlfriend in school that had spent the night. I go to school the next day with her, and all I know is that she was talking about wanting to be popular. Next day, Lindsay, Kristen, all these girls are coming up to me saying, why did you say this about me? And why did you say that about me? And these boys that I had crushes on coming, why did you say I'm blah, 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 blah? And they, like, all of a sudden I had a class of kids. I'm like, what is going on? Getting angry and mobbing me. And come to find out, this girl, Virginia, she started telling people that I was saying things about them like, you're a zip face, right? 5th grade stuff. Right. I got attacked. I had to run into the bathroom, and the kids were banging on the doors, yelling at me, angry that I had said all of these things about them. And I was just like, what? And this is the shy, quiet, introverted book girl, right? Now, the principal came out, the teachers came out, plucked me out of the bathroom, okay? I still had to do the rest of the school year with these kids. Yeah. I couldn't speak up for myself. I didn't know how to say, I don't know what you're talking about. And even when I did say that, why would anybody listen?
I'm not going to believe you.
Because this girl wanted to be popular and was spreading rumors about me so that she could gain trust or whatever with them. Then I went to middle school with these kids. Then I went to high school with these kids. And I was the girl. I was the loner. I was the one who was picked on. I was the one who was bullied. So what did I do? Started to retaliate in some ways. I got a mean streak. I would check out. I used to throw up. As I can throw up on command still today. You know why? Because I knew that if I was going to be in class with one of those girls who would bully me, I could throw up and my mom would have to drive all the way back from Oakland to pick me up from school.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how that's so much programming in your subconscious,
Yep.
of like who you are, how you're supposed to protect yourself, how you're supposed to navigate through the world, and then you've got the dad who's early on introducing you to substances and things like that. So, I mean, dude, in my opinion, it's a recipe for disaster, and then you mix in your personality, which is 0 to 100, and it's like, of course, like, I think that my personality is very similar. Like,
Oh, yeah.
and I think my personality is really what led me into it the most. Like, definitely trauma, things like that. But it was just fun, dude. Like, it was exciting, and it was like I sucked at talking to women, and now I could like talk to women, and it was just this like energy that was so much fun.
Mm-hmm. I loved getting high and doing drugs.
Me
and
too.
Running around and partying. It was fun.
So let's go to the other side
Till
of the
it wasn't.
coin. Yeah, exactly. Till it wasn't. I was like, so let's flip that coin over. And like, how bad did it get for you and why did it end?
Let's see. Massive parties, selling and dealing, buying quantity, selling
Like
small
moving
amounts.
it, like big
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. I buy in the large amounts and then sell in smaller, have parties at my house, buy in large amounts, sell to the people who are attending the parties, clubs, whatever it was. We were having fun. We were partying, whole weekend events. I'd have majority of the product that we were using and sell in small quantities so I could buy more. Right? I don't want to talk about everything that I was doing, but festivals. I would go to festivals for 4 days and only work on Wednesdays and Thursdays at one point towards the end. I'd stack all of my work on Wednesdays and Thursdays, make enough money to recover and like fix the hangovers and then go out to festivals all summer again. And that was fun, but eventually I'd been arrested several times. I was so emotionally immature. When I get face drunk, like one time, I'm so embarrassed about this story. I threw myself on the ground because I wasn't getting my way and threw a tantrum like a freaking child because I was so upset that I didn't get invited to this party in the apartment complex. And it's because I'm a blackout drunk. I talk mad and literally would say any and everything to piss you off and to make you absolutely hate me, not even by the end of the night. And then the next day I'd be like, yo, what's up, Mitch? What's up, Aaron? How are you guys doing? You'd be like, you're lucky I don't kick your ass right now. And I'm like, why
What
would
happened?
you want to do that? But that was when I was drinking. When I was doing other stuff, I've got katana swords. I'd be out chasing shadow people all night long.
It is so hard for me to imagine you in these scenarios. Like, the only person I know is who I met at 40 under 40. It's just very hard for me to imagine you in those scenarios.
Night. I did a lot of things and I'd party hard. I'd party real hard, and that's what nobody thought I was gonna live to be even 18. And you know what's cool is my parents divorced. And when they divorced, my mom met this man who became my bonus dad, Jim. And I was around the age of 24 when they met, and I was in the depths of my addiction. I was working at Kaiser Hospital. I had bad, nasty relationships with men who would cheat, betrayers, some jealous dudes, all kinds of weird guys that I would choose to be with. And when my mom introduced me to Jim and I would have these conversations, like these intellectual and emotionally intellectual conversations. And I would talk to him about my like acid trips and talk to him about like the relativity of time that I would see in an acid trip and how ants would live this whole entire life and I would live this whole entire life, but it'd be the same length of time, but different because ants are small and I'm big, but it would still feel like 40 years to an ant and 40 years to me, right? And Jim would say, I knew I married into an intelligent family. That's Einstein's theory of relativity. I'd never studied Einstein's theory of relativity, but I'd experienced it on acid trips. And he was able to talk to me for my potential, not the drug addict, messed up wreck of a human that I was at that point in my life. And that man changed my life.
I just have mad chills. Like, that's amazing.
He taught me about affirmations and how I could write my life any way that I desired to. And he sat me down one day and he's like, who do you want to be? Who do you want to become? I believed him when he said that I could be better and do better. And he never talked to me in a condescending way. I wrote out this whole life of who I wanted to be and how I wanted to be, and I was still using. And he'd give me books about consciousness, Emmanuel's Guide to Living Life in the Cosmos. And I'd flip that book open. It's like any page that you read, think of it on a spiritual level. And I would. And one of them says, this world is but an illusion that we're here living our life in, learning from. I believed every passage in that book, and I still know it to be true today. And I'd never experienced consciousness on that level. I have affirmations that I did not believe about myself. Like, I am a high-class woman, always honoring who I am. Because that hadn't been true for me before. I had done some shameful things that I found to be shameful. Anyhow, and acted in ways that I found to be unbecoming or naughty or bad. And when he told me that if I look in the mirror every day and say these affirmations until I believe them, you guys must have this voice too. There's that voice that says, no, you are not that. No, you cannot accomplish it. No, you will never be anything. No, you've done this and this and this, which means you cannot be that.
Yep.
I silenced that voice, and I'd spend hours in front of the mirror saying, I am drug-free and live a drug-free life.
That's so good.
I relinquish control and accept life as it comes.
What there? That just shook me so hard, man.
I think that's one of the benefits of why I love exercise so much, because it seems so hard at first, but you push through it. It's not about what you look like. It's about, I don't know if I can lift that. Yep. Yes, 100% you're going to. It's the same thing. I keep going. That's amazing.
When I was 26 years old, on my birthday, October 23rd, I had my spiritual awakening. It was like a brick wall. I woke up, and the only way that I can explain this is that my third eye opened up. I was no longer walking through this world sleeping, feeling unseen or unheard or unnoticed. I realized that we are all connected. And I had this vision or sense, whatever this would be called, and I could see these parallel lives or these shifts, or how I had taken these moments and interactions with different people and could take that karma or that moment and see how I either shot it down a downward spiral or shot it into something positive. And I fell to my knees. I prayed. And I realized that we were all connected, and I had been looking at this world wrong because I felt so alone and isolated. And nobody really saw me or understood me or could experience what I was experiencing or had known or experienced. And then I realized that wasn't true at all. And it was just a lie I was telling myself to keep me separated from this source. I've never let go of that source from that day forward, from my 26th birthday onward. And that is what I attribute to most of my sobriety and success, Jim. And I did go to rehab when I was 16. I don't even remember going to it. Okay. But I ended up sobering up completely 2 years after that. Just because the affirmations and my way of life, I leave each moment better than when I arrive, shifting my reality as a physicist considers it. Jim taught me that step one process. And he's like, if you can live by this step one process, I leave each moment better than when I arrive, shifting my reality as a physicist considers it, unless it's doing harm to self. I had to learn that because we don't want to get into being a people pleaser. That shifted me out of drugs, out of alcohol, out of smoking, out of everything. And within 2 years, I was sober. Don't get me wrong, I was still dealing because I liked the money.
Sorry, that's hilarious.
No,
that
it is.
Totally tracks with your personality too.
It is. And because of that, I had 90 days sober. I'd gone to my first AA meeting. I woke up one day, it was July 29th of 2008, and I was like, I'm done. I had 2 beers the night before, movie night at a friend's house, big screen out in California. Woke up and I have not had a drug or drink or anything to change or alter my mind or mood for 17 years as of this point in time.
It's amazing.
I'd go into the bars. I was still dealing. I'd have hash, brownies, tinctures, whatever. People love getting me high, love getting me drunk, love partying with me. And I was like, oh, I'm sober. I'm good. I'm done. They're like, no, you are not. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I am. And it's been 17 years.
That's crazy, man. That's really cool. I love that, like, spiritual awakening, you know? And that's, like, kind of how I feel. I don't know, kind of similar. Dude, I can totally identify with walking through life, like, not feeling like you're seen or heard. And it's like you have all these things inside of you that feel so right, you know, that you want to say, that you want to bring up. But it's just like when you're young, you don't feel like anybody listens to you. And did I totally understand that? Like, I struggled with that, honestly, all the way. I'm still working through it, to be honest. Like, we just did a board breaking ceremony at the group, and you have to write your greatest fear down. You punch through it. And I wrote down, you know, not having my voice be heard. But really, it was more so like what people think of me. You know, like, I wanted my voice to be heard because I wanted affirmation from my peers, right? I wanted those awards. I wanted things sitting on my desk. I wanted to be recognized, right? And then I realized it's like, I'm living for everyone else, right? I'm living for their purpose, for their admiration, whatever it is, you know, and I'm completely missing everything that's going on inside my heart, right? And my direction and my purpose. And that's where I felt like I just floundered, dude, for 20 years because I didn't know what my purpose in life was. Yeah. My whole life, leadership was spoken over me since I was a child. Like, you know, I'd have pastors that would pray over me and be like, man, I just get this strong sense of leadership from you. And so I believed that, right? My whole life, I believed like, I'm a leader, but of what? Right. And I just never, I've always come back to the thing of like, well, I'm good at people, like people give me energy, but I never could connect the dots, right? Like, how does that transpire into a career? How does that transpire into success and, you know, the things that I want out of life? And so for the longest time, I just felt like my gifts were you know, and it's like, well, this is a stupid gift. Like, this isn't going to go anywhere in our world today. So I believed it.
You felt undervalued.
Exactly.
You undervalued yourself and your worth and
the drugs and alcohol and suicide from friends and deaths and all of it, you know, programs your subconscious. And I mean, I uncovered the fact in psychiatry that I had suicide attempts when I was 12, 13 years old, you know, and it's like all of that stuff comes back, right? And it's like all of that stuff needs to be addressed and talked through and understood, you know, and that's how we deal with trauma. That's how we find that enlightenment. Right. And dude, your story is like, I've had chills the whole time. Seriously.
That's just the messed up part of it too.
I was going to say, so let's talk about like coming out, like how have the last 17 years of your life been? Not
like rainbows and unicorns. My first 4 years in sobriety were rainbows and unicorns, even though I was looking at doing 8 to 12 years in prison because I have a felony, because Eventually we all get caught.
Yeah.
And I dove in headfirst into recovery in San Diego. And it's easy to leave. It's easy to leave a place and then reinvent and become someone else and become someone new. Check this out, you guys. Moved from San Diego, 4 years sober, come over here to Loveland, Colorado. I was motivated through the spirit. Like my mom and bonus dad had moved out here. And then I came out here and like, God wants me out here. God will make it happen, right? Say that out loud and see what happens in 48 hours. I get a phone call the next day and they're like, oh yeah, Rina, we're going to short sell the estate that you're the property manager of. I lived there. So I'm like, well, if I'm going to say that I'm going to move, if God makes it happen, like, and sorry, I'm saying that wrong, but God gave me the opportunity to change my life, to step into who I wanted to be at this point in time. And I'm so grateful that I followed my intuition and that when the opportunity came up, I listened to what I had put out there in the world. And Mitch, I want to talk about this one aspect real quick that a lot of people I feel overlook or don't understand. And I want to talk about how my dad, Jim, my bonus dad, one of the things that he taught me that helped me early on in recovery. Because in the rooms you hear, I love you. I love you. I'm looking at you guys in the eyes and I'm saying, I love you. A lot of people get very uncomfortable when the word I love you is said because there are different definitions of the word love and like, oh, what does she mean by she loves me, right? In recovery, we're huggy people a lot of times too. Jim taught me that there are 5 different ways that he knows of on how to identify with people. There's intellectual, emotional, physical, spiritual, and sexual. And when, sexual, easy. We all know what that is, right? I reserve that for my husband 100% of the way. There's no sexual energy that comes off of me when I'm talking to people. Once I learned that I can connect with someone emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, and by physically, I mean like, we can go do things together, whether it's sports, activities, or just being, or we identify with each other in that way, right? Once I figured out that there were different ways to be attracted to people, and that doesn't always equate to sex, my life opened up because I was then able to understand how I can safely talk to people. And by safely, I mean not be misunderstood, because I network a lot. I'm out a lot. I go to bars, I go to conferences, I get on big stages, I speak at these conferences with 100 or 1,000 different business owners in the room, and then we network after. And my husband trusts me completely because of the fact that he knows that there are 5 ways that I know of and he knows of on how to identify and talk with people. So when I tell someone I love you and I love your journey, I love who you are, like I mean that from a place of emotional and spiritual love and understanding.
And support. Yeah, for sure. Dude, I totally get that. Because I've always said that to people too. Like I tell my guy friends all the time that I love them. And it's not necessarily like I would like die for you kind of love, like maybe, but it's like, I just love you in my life, right? I love the energy that you bring to my life. Right. And dude, I think we need to like highlight that, those 5 points. That was awesome. Like, I really like that a lot. Cause in my brain, right, you say physical and that's where I'm thinking sex, right? But like you can hug somebody, right? Like you can give a friend a high five or, whatever. Like you can still have physical contact with people without the sexual connotations to it, right?
Right.
Yeah. And I think that especially as men, dude, like, I mean, we're horny species, I guess, but like that, I like that a lot too. And I'm learning right now too, like how to connect with my wife in that sexual level. Like just learned last night on Love Intentionally that I'm expecting her to treat me like my mom would have. And, I'm like, it was this huge moment of like, it was so embarrassing, of like, she wakes me up in the morning because I suck at getting out of bed, right? Multiple times she'll come up and try to wake me up. That's what my mom did when I was in high school, and it's like, I don't eat lunch if she won't make it. My mom did that, right? It's all these things that I'm fully capable of doing, but I just fell into this habit, right, with my wife, where now I'm one of her children. Right. And that, of course, she's not going to be turned on.
She's not going to want to have sex with
no,
that.
that's ridiculous. And so, but I didn't know that. Right. And I don't think that she really knew how to explain it to me in that way. Mm-hmm. So this is crazy helpful. Yeah. Like, I love those 5 points in that analogy and just how we do connect with people.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Resonate with you too, Aaron?
Yeah, I think it's, emotional security is a big thing. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty easy for some people to tell who's emotionally secure and who's not. Yeah. There's a part of being appropriate, maybe a little old fashioned, but like, if, not that I should ever go to networking events and like hug all the girls that I see.
Yeah.
Right. Because that could put off a different view in other people's eyes, especially being a commission-based business and whatever. I mean, I wouldn't want word to go back to like my wife that I went to this networking event, I'm hugging all the girls and don't even talk to the guys. Yeah. But on the other hand, like, if you have that connection with someone, they're at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with the hug, right? Because it's not weird to go up to chicks and just, what's up, bro? That's all that I guess is resonating. But if you have emotional security, like if Nia went out and I saw her like hugging a friend or a guy, I might ask about it. But at the same time, like, she's there. She loves, like, it's all good.
And if you and your wife were to sit down and talk about the 5 ways to identify, and she had a clear understanding too, that builds a whole nother level of trust in the relationship.
I have to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
I'm about to burst.
I think that's the hard part too, though, is because if you love someone so much, you don't want ever that all those other 4 to bleed into the sexual one, and that's the insecurity, and that's where the fear comes in, and it's real. I get it. Like, I've had some times too where Naya's, it's there when because it's like, you don't know what happens when you're gone, or like, it's that weird, like, is she not? Of course she's not. Stop being a wuss. Get over it.
Exactly.
And
that's having the trust in the relationship and the communication in the relationship. Like, I'm gone for a week sometimes, a week and a half, right? I don't necessarily call my husband and check in with him every night because he knows I'm working. He knows I'm networking.
Yeah.
He knows I'm out there talking to people. I'm educating. I'm spending as much time, quality time as I can out there with those people. And my husband knows. Like that, it's not in my blood.
Yeah.
Right? It's not part of my ethics and cores and values. And I'm not out there drinking either to be able to have the opportunity to make those dumb mistakes, which could happen if someone's drunk.
So. 100%. Because and it's hard. But what's cool about what you just said too is, when you flip it, you're not there freaking out worried about him either.
Not at all. My husband and I have that absolute trust and clarity within our marriage. Mm-hmm. So when we were early in our marriage out here, I moved out here, we started dating immediately, sealed the deal in about a year. Yeah, he was like, oh no, this one's mine. And I'm like, smart man, lock it in early on. And I told him, I was like, I'm going to be a professional face painter. And he's like, you go do that, honey. And I was like, yes, I'm going to. And then I build a team with 32 contractors, using other entertainment companies, whole entire teams, have a 6-figure children's entertainment company that I built out, scaled it to where it was franchisable, and ended up selling it to a national company to increase their revenue by 25% throughout the nation with my market share. Yeah, he didn't expect that, right? When I would go to network at BNI meetings or luncheons, I had him come join me for 1 or 2 of those luncheons with these guys early on because he hadn't dated an entrepreneur before. I didn't know that's what it was at that point in time either. And he sat through that business meeting and was so bored. He's like, I get it. I never want to go to another lunch meeting with you again. That's horrible. I was like, what? We were just talking about business. It's like, exactly. He's like, I get what you're doing at these lunch meetings. Go for it, honey. You know?
Yeah.
Lunch with different guys every day of the week. Some women, but there are a lot more salesmen out there. And I was coming across a lot more dudes early on than I was amazing female business entrepreneurs who I have a phenomenal network of at this point in time and love my inner circle.
That's cool.
That's funny you bring that up too, because there's one gal that is in my sphere, and she's like, I hate going to networking events by myself because she just has the perception that every dude's out there just trying to
Hook up.
hook up, and that's it. Because there are those out there that just network to get laid, and it just sucks.
Yeah,
So funny, man. I never looked at it that way.
I don't think I've had that problem. I've never.
Not to say it's 50% of the dudes.
No, I get
Yeah.
you. No, you get all kinds of people out there.
I just go in and don't give a about what anybody thinks.
Yeah, dude.
As you should.
That's exactly how I am now. I'm like, whatever.
My husband's like, you have no shame. I'm like, I have shame, just not in this area.
Right.
Because I know I'm there with the purpose of meeting people to see if we can do co-opportunities and help provide for our families and feed our families at the end of the day and build community and additional jobs and establish careers for people, because I love business building. I love supporting people. And like your son, Connor, 9 years old right now, 10 years from now, maybe what, even 6 years from now, he might be looking for a job. Right? And if you want him to be exposed to entrepreneurship, you call me up and be like, hey, Rina, you want to take Connor around with you to network for a day? You want to take him to do this or that? I'm going to be like, yes, absolutely, Aaron, give me your baby. I will show him what this world is about. We will go to networking events. We will do sales. We will do door knocking. We'll do whatever it takes, or I will introduce him to whomever or whatever it is that he is interested in that moment that is within my wheelhouse, an ability to teach him, to take him to the next step. And for me, that's what networking is about. It's about finding your people, finding your tribe, finding the co-opportunities with the individuals who know me, like me, trust me, and I trust ethically as well. Know they have a good business in place, know they have a good offer in place, and they're going to take care of my people as much as I'm going to take care of them.
Yep.
Dude, and I can actually speak to that as well, because I've watched you take kids out of our sobriety group and give them jobs. You know, like kids of parents, and, you know, I'm talking 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, but I've personally watched Rina just set these kids up for success. So that's
I was at an event last night, and this dude brought his 2 kids.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let's go.
That's why I've brought my kids to him before, but yeah.
But these kids were 16 and 18.
Oh, that's a much better age.
They were right there, yeah.
They're there.
Dude, and that's the age that you really need that kind of direction. You know what I mean? Like, you're kind of like, I don't really know where I'm going to go in my life. And there's so much out there that can just suck you down this funnel.
High school? Public schooling, you mean?
Okay, trauma alert, high
No, like
school.
what they're taught. They're just taught to be W-2 employees.
You want to, let's not even talk about that. Look, that W-2 mindset, I can go down that rabbit hole all day, every day. My husband and I talk about it, which is why we expose our daughter already to so many different things. And
it's exactly why Connor's going to homeschool.
You're homeschooling?
Oh, yeah, we are.
So envious. Oh, God. Well, that'll be another conversation for another time. Check this out. When I moved here from to Loveland from San Diego, right? Did not want to leave San Diego. Knew I was going to build my first successful company. I say it's my first successful one because team, sales, everything in place, sold, exit strategy, right? And then I got into digital marketing world after, which is what I do. That's my primary right now, is digital marketing, local SEO, small businesses, getting leads from Google Maps, right? But I didn't know when I moved here how to build a business. So I went to the Larimer County Small Business Development Center. I started taking classes, reading, listening to Audible books about how making money is killing your business, how to become an entrepreneur. Mike Michalski's The Pumpkin Plan, E-Myth, Revisited by Mike Gerber. I don't know. It's called the E-Myth. That book was great too. I started consuming all of this knowledge and all of this information because we all know I wasn't paying attention at school. I learned about business, how to do digital marketing at that point in time to some extent, how to put systems in places, how to do operations, about the 5 pillars of a company. You have finance, the technician, ops, sales, and marketing, and how to build all of those things out. I could not stop once I realized that there was this whole other wealth of knowledge out there that could help me, who has a felony, who couldn't get a job in '08 anywhere. I had to work at a gas station because I had a felony and nobody was getting jobs then. Gas station, minimum wage. They were selling drugs out of there. And I was like, I was making $10,000 a week selling pot. And now you guys are doing it out of the back of Chevron.
You're like,
And I'm working for a minimum wage. You want to talk about temptation and wanting to go back?
Yeah.
Whew. Anyhow, got here, and the scalability aspect of businesses are super attractive too. Like, I don't even know how I got on this topic, but it's one of my favorite subjects.
No, that's great. Well, we'll just circle it back to get closer. You kept yourself busy in sobriety.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, but this is the other
hospitals
thing I
and
noticed in your story
institutions,
is the passion, right? The purpose. All of a sudden you discover this great purpose in your life, right? And this desire, this passion, and you just run with it. You know, and that for me was the piece that helped me be so successful, right? Starting this podcast, having something that I'm accountable to, right? And a lot of people that I'm accountable to and things like that. So it definitely keeps me in a place of like, okay, I got to keep doing this, you know? And if it's not for me, sometimes being like, it's got to be for them is enough. You know what I mean?
It is, though.
It is. And it works. And it works. Like, I just had a really rough trip to Kansas. It's not a great place for me to be. There's not a lot to do. It's not mentally engaging. This year, there was a lot of family drama. So it was just like, and it's also the last place that I relapsed. And so this trip for me I was scared, you know, I had a lot of negative emotions, but there were so many times, dude, where people would just be drinking and I'd want to, and I'd be like, I don't care, you know, but on the back end of it, like it destroys everything that we just created.
When I want you guys, when I gotta tell you guys about a time, because for the most part, over the last 17 years, I've had no desire to drink. No desire to use drugs. There was, when my dad died, my daddy.
Oh, your real dad?
Yeah, FaceTime call. He was in Cambodia. His girlfriend was on. Saw them trying to resuscitate him. FaceTime. Pretty traumatic.
Yeah, that's up.
Yeah, I did not even think about drinking. I went to Cambodia, got his ashes with my sister. My sister and I are best friends now and tell each other everything. Took me probably about 4 years to make full amends to her and to keep showing up in her life consistently and going out of my way to show up in her life so she knew that I'm no longer the alcoholic, and for her to like get trust with me again because I was so emotionally abusive towards her. So I didn't think about drinking at that point. When my bonus dad passed, I had burst scarlet 2 weeks later. Did not think about drinking then. What got me almost, well, I shouldn't say even almost. What really got me was at 15 years, I was getting ready to get my 16 year. I went on a canoe trip with my husband, my 3-year-old, Scarlett was 3, and a group of professionals from BNI. We were going on a canoe trip down in Longmont, and when we went around this one bend, fireworks started going off. And it's July, like July 17th or somewhere right around there. 20th, actually, maybe the 21st. And I'm like, why are fireworks going off? And then I hear them go right over my head. And then I hear screaming from the canoe in front. And they weren't fireworks, you guys. They were high-powered rifles with people illegally target practicing over open water. And they could not see us. And we had the reeds are high. We're in canoes. There are like 5 or 6 canoes with some of my business friends. And these bullets are flying over my head. I'm like, get down. Get to the side of the bank. And we're going to the side. Diane has a bullet scrape across the top of her hat, like you guys have. There's a scrape mark. The bullets hit the side of the embankment, and then they stop. And they're like, oh shit, hey, we're here. We're screaming. Another round of bullets go off. The firearms go off, okay? We're screaming, hey. We're being forced to go zigzag up and down this river bend, zigzag. And we can tell they keep going. This is 22 minutes that we were under gunfire.
Jesus.
They do not even know we are there, but yes, okay? I'm terrified for my daughter. Like, is this how it's gonna end? Is there gonna be a newspaper saying kayakers murdered because of illegal target practicing on a property that they're not even supposed to be on, right? Thinking of my daughter. And I'm so... And I'm like, are these guys drunk? Are they, they can't hear us. They don't know we're there. And my husband, who's from Iowa, is like, oh, they're just target practicing. Like, they're not actually shooting at us. And I'm like, that doesn't make it any better.
Yeah, right. There's still bullets flying over my head.
We've got the bullets hitting the embankment various times still in the water. And one of the canoes flips and child gets trapped. She's 12 and the mom's trapped and, getting it up. And they're screaming. Like, talk about feeling powerless. I just said the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the willingness to know the difference. I don't even know if I said it right.
You did. It's wisdom.
Wisdom to know the difference. And I was like, what can I control in this moment? All right, gunfire. Okay, this side, they're this angle. Let's get over to this side of the embankment and keep our heads down low. The bullets are clearly hitting the other side, so let's not be on the other side of the embankment, right? Eventually, we zigzag down. These guys, probably a father-son, had earmuffs on, high-powered rifles, shooting. You're not supposed to shoot over water. You're supposed to shoot where you can see the other side. And I don't have anything against I love shooting. I love guns. After I had this experience, the woman who led us on the canoe trip forced us off to the side after it was all like over. And I was like, no, I'm still in fight or flight. Like, I want to keep going. She made us talk about our feelings. I was upset that we had to talk about our feelings. And I was even more pissed off that half the people could go drink right after that to numb their feelings.
Yep.
I was so jealous. And I was so envious. And I wanted to drink so bad. And my husband was fine. Like, it didn't affect him the same way that it still affects me. And I knew that Fellowship of the Spirit was happening in Estes Park because my brand new sponsor, whom I love very much, she lives in Georgia. I met her a few weeks earlier and I was like, will you be my sponsor? And she's like, I will be back in Colorado. I met her at Loveland at the Unity Club meeting. I drove up there. I was shaking. I was crying all the way up there. I wanted to drink so bad. And when I arrived, there was an open meeting that was happening. I was late for it. There were about 60 or 70 other addicts, alcoholics in that meeting room in Estes Park at the YMCA. I walked in, I sat down in a seat, and about 30 seconds later, a woman goes, oh, I'm sitting here, excuse me. And I have to get up out of that seat, look around the room. I guess she had gone to the bathroom. And then I went and I sat across the room in the only other open seat that I could find. I sat there, I was shaking, I was trembling, couldn't hear what these other people were talking about. And then I was like, I'm going to be rude because I'm just jumping into this meeting to interrupt. And I was like, fuck it, I'm in so much pain. And I was like, my name's Rina, I'm not an alcoholic. And I relived the experience with all of those people in the room. And I felt so safe to be able to share what it was that had just happened and how I wanted to drink so bad. Just wanted to have a shot glass of whiskey or scotch or brandy. I don't even care. Not vodka, though, for some reason, which is what I used to really like. And lo and behold, by the time I was done, and at the end of the meeting, this woman comes up to me, and she is a trauma therapist with 40 years in sobriety. It's just so amazing how the universe provides. She came up to me, talked to me, and for the next couple of weeks, got on the phone with me and helped me release that trauma and release that fear, the feeling of powerlessness and lack of control. She had me do all these exercises, like throwing things and just shouting whatever was coming out. And I'm so grateful for her. And I'm so grateful for just everyone in recovery and the fact that I have worked my steps and I do have a sponsor and I do stay connected with other addicts and alcoholics in recovery, because if I wasn't in the program, I wouldn't have had 17 years.
Yeah, for sure. Dude, that's like one of the, just your whole story, man, and just your mindset around it. Like, you know, it was almost like you were just hanging by one finger on a cliff, you know, and then you found this idea that Jim handed you, and it was just like the door opened, you know, and the light shone through, and it was just this incredible journey. Dude, I'm like, seriously, I listen to your story and I just get so many chills. Like, you're such a strong person, you know, and just, it's amazing to see you just attack the things that you love in your life, you know, and that are productive and that are good. And I mean, how long have I known you? Like maybe a month and a half, you know, and it's like, I feel
Since you got that award.
right, I feel very connected, you know, in such a short period of time. So as we wrap this up though, will you go through those 5 things to how you can connect with people? Can you just list those off one more time?
Yep. The 5 ways that I know to connect with people are emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, physically, sexually.
Okay. And
Obviously, reserve sexually for the husband.
Right.
Everything else is on the table.
So, and that's the thing. It's like, remove that one, right? Now you have 4, and you can break those down into however you want, right? Like, I just love the way that you look at that, right? Because it is community. Like, that's what we're trying to build through Beyond the Buzz and this kind of stuff, is that community of alcoholics, of addicts, because honestly, some of the most generous people that I've ever met in my life, you know, some of the craziest stories I've ever heard. But seriously, and like, I've not met one person in recovery that wouldn't just give you the shirt off their back.
Exactly.
You know, and it's like that with everyone, you know, and they're random people that you don't even know, and they just pour into your life. And, you know, when you get that many people that are just open to the spiritual connection that the earth provides and like that we have here between us, however you define that, right? Like, tap into that, because it is so real, you know, and I'm grateful. I'm so grateful that I got to sit here and listen to your story. It's incredible.
Thanks for asking me to come and share too. I was
Absolutely.
like, he told me about this podcast and I was like, cool.
I never, when I met you, would have pinned you as an addict. Never. Like, you just present yourself as a businesswoman, as somebody that's motivated and moving and strong. And so it's crazy to me to hear this story, because the Rina that I know, it's just hard for me to imagine you in those situations. But
Yeah.
Question for Jim, or about Jim, when he came to you in that moment, you know, in those moments, I guess, if you could describe it in one word, how was his approach?
Unconditional love.
yeah,
I leave each moment better than when I arrive, shifting my reality as a physicist considers it. I am unconditional love to all, regardless of how others are to me.
I think that's such a big thing, because that's a big part of my faith. Is just purely that, you know, we don't want to tolerate any misbehavior or things that you know are wrong, but we're going to meet you in a spot of love. And if I actually met a buddy yesterday, this is a good analogy for that too, is just picture a bar full of people drinking, but you have Jesus at the very end, just sitting there. It's like, what are you doing here? Oh, I'm here. I'll be ready when you are. It's the basis of that story. So that's really cool.
Goosebumps.
It's just cool to have that Jim is that figure for you where he was just didn't come at you, didn't give you an intervention. I know I've repeated this, but never do interventions. Listener or moms, don't ever do that. But it's just because that right there, because then you can be vulnerable. Then you can talk about your acid trips, and then you can talk about all these things and not be judged and just simply loved. And that's obviously what worked.
Love.
So good.
Additional love.
You know, and I tell people too, I'm like, you want a good example of how to help somebody find sobriety? Watch Martin Sheen or Charlie Sheen's documentary and just watch how his dad responds to him time and time and time and time again. Just shows up, dude, every single time.
That's how my mom is too. Yeah. She showed up for me consistently throughout the years.
That's amazing. Like, and having that support, you know, like my wife stayed with me. Thank God.
Yeah, I do not deserve names.
No, dude, not at all. Like, we were talking about it before we started, you know, like I was a piece of shit for so long.
You should go back and listen to our episode with the wives.
Yeah, it's
I did.
like one of the first
you did?
10. We should get them back on, dude. That was fun. I think
Connor wants to come on.
let's do it, dude. Emery does too.
Yeah.
Let's do it. That'd be so sick.
Can you do it over Christmas break?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, anyways, Rina, we just want to say thank you so much for your strength, your vulnerability, and your wisdom. You know, you have a lot of that. And I'm just so grateful that you're willing to share it, you know, and be vulnerable. So we just want to thank you so much for your time today coming on here. And if there's any like one nugget of wisdom that you want to leave with the listener?
You guys already got it, man. It's the affirmations, step 1 process.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Knowing who I am, my purpose before I go anywhere. Like there are a lot of different things that we didn't get to touch on. There's so many things.
I'll go back.
But it's, you know, it's just about me knowing who I am, staying true to myself, and the baseline that we were able to discuss about my spiritual awakening. And once I figured out who I am and my purpose in life, like everything else has come into place since then.
Yep.
And I just keep trying no matter what.
Exactly. That's the thing, man. Find that purpose and just attack it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, listener, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really appreciate everything you're doing to support us. We've noticed our numbers on YouTube have been going up, so please continue to like and subscribe and follow us on our social media channels. But anyways, we, again, just want to say thank you to Rina, and we'll be back next week.
See ya.
Later.